Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Friday Night Live. We're back, and 15 weeks in, show number 15. It's just getting better and better all the time. I have just opened a lovely can of Canadian Molson, which I've had on chill in the fridge. Well, a couple of them actually, and they're just beautiful. They're going down really well in this summer sunset behind me. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful, I have to say. And it's great to be here. Your host, Dave Morrissey, as usual, as always, broadcasting out of the Sunroom Studios in Limerick. And it's great to have you all on board. I have a really good guest lineup this week. I have to say, one of my most intriguing so far. I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be a couple of twists and turns in the road tonight, I have a feeling, and good crack. It's going to be crack, I can tell you that. I have Jackie Hudson Lawler, my first ever official artist, who is an actual artist, by the way, not just somebody who says, "Oh, I'm an artist," a real artist. Okay, so that's going to be great crack. Followed by Peter Fitzpatrick, a good friend of mine, who is better known as Circuit 3. Synthesized pop, really cool, something different for Friday Night Live. Then we're going to head over to the UK and we're going to talk to Deck Burke, which is going to be great crack. You're really going to want to check his stuff out. His guitar playing is phenomenal, as is his vocals. And I'm going to finish off this evening with what I wasn't actually going to be doing because we were doing Poetry Corner all along up until now, and then we kind of took a break from it as a segment. But I happened to just come across a couple of poets and spoken word artists myself. When I put the call out last week, we sent a poster out online just calling for new talent and stuff, and loads of people have gotten involved. So tonight I have Garrod I think it's O'Foran. I'm going to go for that, Garrod O'Foran. He'll tell me later on, but he's going to come on and do a little bit of spoken word, which is going to be really cool at the end of the night. But without further ado, my first guest tonight is somebody who I'm quite intrigued by in all senses of the word when it comes to music. A producer, a guitar player, a fine guitar player, amongst many other instruments, and a singer, of course. And he's kind of getting around to releasing and getting his own stuff out, really, which is great because he spent a lot of time helping everybody else out. So he's the kind of guy that I like to see him doing his stuff and getting his stuff out there. I really do. And it's good. And I can tell you something. I went back a little bit, okay, in order to introduce you to my first guest, I went back to what we're talking at this stage, probably 2016-ish. I could be wrong. He'll tell me anyway. But it is an album called Lullabies for the 21st Century, and it's by, of course, none other than Duncan Maitland. And I've chosen a track off that called Alien at Home, and it's just a really cool track. So we're going to start off with that, and then we're going to talk to Duncan Maitland pretty soon, who you will know from various different bands that we're going to talk about as well. But this is Duncan. Here we go.
The body snatchers came and left us sleeping, seedling. Now the seed is grown, an alien at home. I swear that it was you, but something's missing. Is it the daydream we had long ago about the day we have a place of our own and we've been painted in happiness untold? If you can hear me out there on your own, and can you see me? The space is too cold, and when you're near me, I know I'm home, sweet home, sweet home, sweet Last night in bed I heard a message from a dying world. Say that you're okay, but you're still shaken. So I our face to close. Lady unknown, the message is still covered, the signal's fading. Aliens could sit alone in longing for space. I'm longing for the daydream we had long ago, about the day we have a place of our own and we've been painted in happiness untold. If you can hear me up there on your own, and can you see me? Space is too cold. Give me, I know I'm home, sweet home, sweet home, sweet home, sweet home. Don't know, but I think I'm an alien. Don't know, but I think I'm an alien. Don't know, but I think I'm an alien. Oh, sweet.
Oh yeah, just magic, really magical, magical, magical. Everything that you want in a song, and I mean everything. It's just the effects, everything. I know everything he does, and I know that when I listen to his music, he knows what he's talking about. Not just as a singer songwriter, but as a producer slash everything. Wow. That is, of course, Duncan Maitland. So without further ado, let's have a quick chat with the man himself, beaming in from Dublin right now tonight. Duncan, how are you keeping?
Literally beaming.
Literally beaming.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
The aliens have landed, my friend. The aliens have landed. Alien at Home. Tell us about that tune. I love it.
Oh yeah. Well, it's pretty old.
Yeah.
The idea for it would stretch back to even like the very end of Picture House. I would have been. I actually remember writing the chords to it on Fish's piano.
Right.
You know, Fish from Marillion. We stayed a night at his house, and he had the studio, and there was a big grand piano in there, and I remember kind of just messing around. I spent the whole night messing around. They were all messing around elsewhere, and I spent the whole night messing around on that grand piano. And I had the title Alien at Home, but the song really didn't kind of happen for, well, probably quite a good while after that, but yeah, there you go.
It's a great tune. All the tracks. I'm going to be honest with you, Duncan. I've listened to the entire album, Lullabies for the 21st Century. It's brilliant. It's really brilliant. The workmanship that's gone into that is not just a singer-songwriter. It's a producer as well. I mean, you're a well-respected producer in this country and abroad as well.
Oh, that's nice.
It's nice. Yeah, you are. Well, you are. I mean, let's be honest. It's the truth. And,
right.
But listening to the music, I could just hear tape machines all over that. I can hear all the good old stuff. It's all there, and I'm hearing the good old flanger phasers, all the stuff.
That's exactly right. You're hearing the real deal as well there. When we were making that record, I made it with a guy called Frank McGean. He'd got you know Frank by any chance?
I've heard of him. Yeah, I've heard of him.
He's actually having a good time right now. He just mixed a guy called Brendan Talon's new album, which is, I think, it just debuted at number 2.
That's right.
Album chart today.
Well.
Yeah,
really
it sounds
well.
fantastic. Sounds great, actually. It's a great sounding record. But he, at that point, he just restored a new 16-track machine from like 1972. And while we were kind of finishing up the record, I did record a good percentage of it at home, but we did bits at his studio, kind of finishing up, and we mixed it obviously at his place. He was sort of doing his homework with the Beatles recording book and literally learning how to do all this genuine kind of tape phasing and ADT stuff and everything. And as a result, it's all over the record. Including on that, there's actually a point where you can hear the piano slowly kind of phasing in the background. Then there's another point where you can hear it just kind of seems to turn to jelly. And the thing is, I've all used kind of plugins and things to get these sounds, but when you actually hear the real thing, it's like you could never go back.
And I was just going to say, I was just going to say that to you, right? We're all big Logic Pro fans in the world now. We all use it at home. Okay? But I can tell you, I've used a lot of plugins on it myself, and there ain't nothing like the real deal. It just
there really isn't.
It's a copycat of the real deal, and there's a difference. And on this album, I can hear it. It's all over your album. It's all over. And I know that you're literally splicing and dicing and messing. So it's cool. You can hear it. I love it. But listen,
it has a different sound.
What you're doing now is what really intrigues me. This is what intrigues me the most. The fact that you've gone and taken this album and now you've re-released it without the vocals.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, it's kind of been on the cards. Yeah, it's been on the cards for a while, but it's kind of one of those sorts of albums. I think, as it's turned out from the feedback I've gotten, it kind of rewards repeated listening because, like you say, there's a lot of orchestration in there and there's a lot of textures to it, and it is the kind of thing that you can kind of take a lot in from it without the songs, as it were, you know. I mean, there are a couple of other. I mean, Good Company. Being honest with you, the other people who've done this, XTC did it with their Apple Venus album.
That's right. I was doing a bit of googling just after we did the sound check earlier, and I said, I bet nobody else has done this. And you said, there's 2 or 3, and I just went and did a Google.
That's
and
right.
XTC,
Intravenous, it was called.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I think it's a great idea. Did you find that you had to sit down though and actually, obviously, remix the whole thing? You obviously
no. To be honest, now at that time, I did versions without the vocals anyway. I don't know if it was forward thinking or just because it was sort of orchestral sounding, and it just kind of figured that somewhere down the line I'd want to hear the backing tracks. I don't know, and here we are anyway.
That's
forward thinking.
Producer's hat there. That's the producer's hat, big time.
I guess so.
Kudos, man. Kudos. The new album is how to get this right now? Instrumental Lullabies.
Instrumental Lullabies. I was trying to find some kind of a clever way.
It's cool. I like it.
Including lullabies. Yeah. I just put the two words and said, well, instrumental lullabies, and I said, hold on, wait a minute. There's an L on the end of that. And there's an L at the beginning of the other word. Yeah. Let's do it.
Get them in there. So how do we get our hands there? How do we get our hands on that? What's the
way you do it? And this is so clever. You join the Duncan Maitland official.
I'm a member.
Now gone official. You're good, man.
Okay, cool. I'm a member.
I like you, Dave. So you've heard it here, folks. Dave Morrissey is a member.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Okay. It's not a weird cult or something. Yeah. You can come and you can join, and the offer is there. You can download them as the 24-bit WAV files for those who are technically minded. That basically means they're in the best possible clarity and format that you're going to get, according to the way it all went down. So come along and have a listen. It's right there for you. It's especially for you.
Yeah, I just think it's wonderful that that you're offering the tracks in that format, because look, the way things have been going with the industry over the past 15 to 20 years, nobody offers anything like that anymore online. It's all squez, MP3s, quick as possible.
Who wants that?
You're going to lose all your qualities if you do that, especially.
That's exactly right. Yeah. I mean, it's horrible, all the effort that goes in to making any. I mean, I'm not the first person to say this, obviously, but all the effort that goes in up the front to make something that's as sonically, well, as good as we can get it anyway, and to get it to that kind of state, and then it's just kind of squashed down into a little MP3 that's like 128 kilobytes or whatever it is, and it sounds like
just nasty. It's nasty. It makes you wonder why the Beatles avoided Apple for so long, and now we know, because just everything was against what they stood for, wasn't it? Really, I mean,
why did Apple avoid Apple?
Why did Apple avoid Apple? Listen, going back, right? We're going to go back for the crack. I've just the more I kind of do a little bit of research throughout the week, and went back just a little bit now. Okay, it's not that this is your life thing. Don't panic. But Picture House obviously are the big things, But before that, your first band in 1985, the Flood. The Flood.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Was that at home in Stoke-on-Trent, or was that?
It was. Yeah.
Before you came here, what was the crack with that band? What was that all about? Was that a kind of an experimental thing, or was it a full-on gigging experience?
No, it was a full-on gigging experience, and it was kind of the first flowerings of anything, really. It was myself and a couple of childhood friends, as it were, and we just I was the kind of musical, musical person in the midst of it all. Well, myself and Andrew Wilson, who was the kind of the other half of the sort of real partnership at the time, we were childhood. We went back so far, everybody thought we were cousins, which was actually something that we seemed to just go along with. So everybody, including us, probably believed that we were. And anyway, I taught him essentially how to play bass guitar, and we went down that road. I was writing songs. I've been writing songs since I was about 9. Anyway, but I've always been a kind of person who, if something interests me creatively, I sort of think, oh well, I've got to have a go at this, But exactly. I mean, I wanted to be a filmmaker at one point as well, and everything. It all interests me. Yeah. And so it was the music time. I would probably been about 15, 16, and so we put this band together, and it was our first little taster of it, and we cut about 4 or 5 demos of about 4 or 5 tracks each in about space of about 8 months, I think it was, at a place called the Jailhouse Recording Studios. It was a little 8-track place. Sounds good, doesn't it? People would actually really pay for that now.
People would,
and that kind of, as we kind of progressed and the demos got more polished and all the production ideas kind of grew around that, and so it kind of led to a place in about 1990 or 91 where we had like Interest of Chrysalis and all the rest of it.
Yes.
So it did go somewhere, but unfortunately the whole thing kind of came apart at the seams at that point, as things do, and so it wasn't the time right then.
Well, you know what? It has happened to probably 99% of, say, childhood friendship bands anyway. It's the tale we're all familiar with. I know myself. Back in the 90s, we were the same, similar situation with a band, company interest and all that kind of stuff. And it does, as you say, it falls apart at the seams. It just does, and there's nothing you can do about it. At the time you want to keep it together, but it happens.
That's it. I mean, everybody reaches different places in their lives, and I mean, I was the only one out of the 3. I mean, we were kind of 4, and then there was a different drummer, and then there was another guy, and then there was another drummer. The way it worked. Anyway, I was kind of the only person that carried on, really. But then again, I was the guy that was writing the songs, I suppose.
Well, it was kind of your duty to do it.
Yeah.
But anyway, like, luckily for you, you were kind of introduced to Picture House. Is that kind of say what brought you to Ireland? Is that the reason, or?
Definitely. That's the one.
You weren't just a tourist who said, "Oh, I'd love to go to Ireland."
No, never thought of it.
Falling in with the boys, like, what a great band! What a great band! Fabulous band. And Dave was a guest of mine about over a month ago.
I believe,
fantastic guy, and I know him from down through the years and stuff. And then, of course, we had your mate Ger Eaton on last week as well.
Oh yes.
It's funny how the little family becomes quite intertwined as we go on here, but it's cool.
Yeah.
And everybody knowing everybody. But I remember, I suppose the Picture House I remember is kind of 2000s, kind of noughties and all that kind of stuff. And I think you might have been finished by then. I'm not sure.
I was gone by then. Yeah.
But when you did join, you didn't just join as a guitar player. I mean, you kind of got in there and you wrote Fan Club. You wrote the song, which was pretty
well,
cool.
Actually, yeah. Well, I joined at the end of '93, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I came with songs, but I was trying to kind of play it cool and not really, how would anybody else feel if this guy comes into town, hey, check my songs out.
Yeah.
So I was kind of quiet about it. I mean, that lasted for all of about 10 minutes probably. And then the next thing, it was like, okay, well, it kind of changes the playing field a bit, I think, when you've got two songwriters in the band. And
big time.
And so I mean, it was a plus, and it was minuses to it as well, being young bucks.
Yes.
But at the end, we got what we got out of it. The songs that came out of it.
Yeah,
and Fan Club had actually come with me. I'd written that before I came in. I was very surprised that we wound up doing it for the record, because it's such an oddball song,
Yeah.
But it became like a big live favorite. But then there's not much else like it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it is different. It is definitely different to the usual Picture House set. But it's that's cool. I do love it. But you co-wrote Heavenly Day with Pete Glenister.
Pete Glenister, yeah.
Yeah, now that is a song that is very, very well respected in this country and abroad, but here for sure, amongst most of my friends and peers and stuff, we love that.
It's funny because, again, I mean, it's largely my song. I mean, Pete helped me on that one because we were doing it for the first album, and I was just having real trouble getting the lyrics out. And I remember we sat in a front room of a house he was staying in. And he said, okay, right. And what he basically did was he helped me to get the ideas in an order.
Okay.
Because at that point I just hit a wall, and it was like, oh shit, we're recording vocals tomorrow. He's got to sing something.
Yeah.
And so that's how the words came together. But the format of it was kind of there, and I always kind of figured it would be kind of like a Loving Spoonful kind of a thing. But the manager we were with at the time kept pushing us to do almost kind of march along thing. And it just got more and more marchy.
And that's and that's tough. That is tough when you're on an agenda. An agenda is not something that us musicians kind of like. But
again, it's a song that everybody remembers now. And a wonderful thing is, of course, it says Heavenly Day, which means every time the sun shines or anything, it gives them an excuse to play it.
It lends itself quite well to TV, and it lends itself quite well to radio and all that. Everything Picture House really did, I think. Anyway, I said that today when he was on. Everything they were just the ultimate kind of hi-fi radio band in Ireland. There was nobody else like them.
We're very aware. I mean, it's a lesson, and even now, if I'm producing things or anything like that, there's always a little sixth sense at the back of my head, thinking, well, how's this going to sound coming on the radio, And I always think of us doing, there's a track on the first album called Wilderness Dog.
Yeah.
And I remember the demo just started straight in to the, but there's like a drum break, and then it went straight in. I said, well, we need something that's going to sound good coming on the radio. And so it has this intro to it. There's no doubt about it. There you go. It works. It's like, it's something for DJs to talk over.
That's it, isn't it?
Doing it.
Yeah, I do, of course. And I sometimes think the kings of that were Oasis for those drum-filled intros. They were just the kings. They just had that expertise, didn't they? And I think of Ocean Colour Scene, bands like that, just great, just intros.
Yeah,
they're usually kind of a 6-stroke roll fill in or something, but really cool. Something
that's right.
Straight in, no messing. I like that.
And of course, the big one for Picture House, as far as the drum break's concerned, was Sunburst. The other weather song. I
was just about to mention that because what a tune! And that album Karmarama. Like that was a big album. That was
it was a good one. Yeah.
And the single.
Well, we'd at that point we'd kind of
you co-wrote that with Dave, didn't you? You both wrote that.
I mean it has myself and Pete and Dave are on that. It's funny, but I do remember there's a strange story around that. We were playing we just recording the first album. I remember going to the shop and literally walking out of the studio singing "There's a Sun," and singing the first kind of lines, and then going home and kind of recording it and kind of having, but then again just getting stuck at a certain point with it. But I remember we played the Rose of Tralee, and there was all kind of people staying at the place we were at, and there was a woman who was a palm reader.
Right.
And we just recorded the first album, which of course has Heavenly Day on it. She says, no, there's a song that's going to be really big for you. It's to do with the weather. And I said, oh, yeah, we've just done this song called Heavenly Day. And she said, no, there's another one. But I never even thought, but obviously later on, it suddenly occurred. Oh shit, Sunburst.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we can't find her, and we can't put her on the payroll.
Ask her when's the next one coming. Could you let me know? Yeah, should we stick with the weather or should we change?
Is weather all it's cracked up to be? I mean, pistons of rain, or I don't know.
Yeah, what a tune though! It is a fantastic tune, and a great, I suppose, a great career. But like all things, as you say, have a time and a space, and you kind of got to the point then where it was like, it was time to kind of maybe sort of move into solo stuff. At what point did you kind of? What point did you kind of realize, look, I want to do something myself, or I need to get my own kind of thing going?
Well, I think I'd come into the band a strange point in my own life, and I was kind of happy to be doing what I was doing to a point. But I think there was always a side of me that was remembered being the front guy and whatnot. Now, I haven't got a classic front man's ego in that way. But it's just kind of it's a default setting to a degree, and so just even in terms of being able to row your own canoe in whatever direction you want to row it, without the approval or without having your agenda already set before you've even woke up that day. So it was definitely it was time to move on as far as that was concerned. At the time, I think we were kind of quite alien to each other. It's just the way it had gone, and so it was a good time to and plus there was always a schism to a degree between myself and Dave, just because we were young fellas, and it meant the most to either of us, and we were both songwriters, and it gets tricky, And so in that way, for me to go in that way, he got to go right ahead and do whatever he wanted to do as well, which however he might think at the time, oh shit, one of our main guys is gone, or whatever you want to call it. It's still got to be a relief. And so I'd say it was a relief for him and relief for me. And of course, now after many, many years, everybody's grown up, I'm pleased to say. And we're all on good terms, and we played gigs and all the rest of it. So hurrah, it
does full circle, doesn't it? It kind of does.
It does.
It's raw time. Anything like that is raw. I know exactly where you come from, but it does come full circle. But I bet you're glad you did make the jump, and you jumped off that canoe and onto another one. And
well, it's funny because of course what happened then is, I mean, I had every intention of doing solo stuff, I did outstart, but then I wound up getting involved with Pugwash.
Pugwash, of course.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
As I was reading your bio, and I was going, okay, here he goes, he's going solo, and I said, bada bing. Oh, wait a minute, he's with Pugwash.
Oh shit, he's with somebody else. Okay.
What's happening? But look, I mean, Thomas is a very respected songwriter as well, and a very, very great performer. So, tell me, how did that happen so quickly?
Oh, well, the Pugwash thing was kind of happening towards the end of Picture House anyway. I'd become pals with Thomas through the drummer who joined the band, John Boyle. They used to have this kind of soirees up at the house. It sounds classy, and it was, believe me. Basically, cans of lager, getting pissed, that kind of thing. or whatever else is going on.
Irish soiree, yes.
We were young, you know, we were young and foolish. So we were indulged in young and foolish things. And so there were many nights, and there was Wally, as we call him, Thomas Walsh. And he was into all the same things. And I'd lived in Ireland at that point for about, 4 years or something like that. I'd not met one person who knew who the Honey Buzz was, or knew about all these 60s bands that I was into and all these kind of odd things. He was totally cut from the same cloth as far as that was concerned. So for a while, we became thick as thieves for a number of years, you know, and it was very natural. I mean, his first album, he was kind of pulling in people to play on his record, and then, but I think by the time they were doing the second one, I was kind of leaving Picture House anyway, so you know, it was a natural thing. But again, it wasn't like there was no formal invitation to join or anything like that. So, you know, you say I was in the band, kind of wasn't in the band at the same time. But I was in the orbit, you know. I was on the record, and I was sort of, when it sort of said, well, who's in the band? Well, he's part of it. Okay, I'll settle for that. All right, whatever you like.
Because like when I think of Thomas, like, and I think of Thomas and Pugwash, because I know some of the other members that were in Pugwash, if you like, or whatever.
Oh yeah.
He is very much a kind of a solo entity anyway, and quite a powerful solo entity as a person. Which, by the way, I must actually give him an old tinkle and see what he come on to Friday Night Live. He's a fantastic performer. That's for another day. But
I'm sure he'll do it.
When you got in with him, though, when you got into Pugwash like that, like, did you obviously you must have brought some productional skills as well as musicianship to that arrangement? Did you get involved?
I'd say so. Yeah,
get involved that way?
Well, the thing is that primarily that in charge of that outfit, and I can't speak. I don't. You know, there's a hidden part of the Pugwash story, right? And that is Keith Farrell. His importance in that arrangement can't be spoken of highly enough, because without Keith Farrell, first 3 or 4 albums, they're not happening. His musicality, above all else, I think, is what really catapulted those records. And the Pugwash thing, as you hear it. Now, Thomas is a fine songwriter, he has good ideas and everything. Keith also has great ideas, and he was a brilliant interpreter of his ideas as well.
Yes.
And he knew exactly how to record it for that time. He brought all that enthusiasm to it. I can't speak highly enough of what Keith Farrell did for that group. And so I think it's very important that the story be told. Because, you know, there's I know recently the band Pugwash has been quite loved in the format that I know Tosh and Sean and Joe, and they're all fantastic guys. And that lineup like really got great favor. People really gravitated, and they made some records that people really loved and whatnot. But I think that without those first few records and the freshness of them, and I would put that down to Keith largely. Now, I did bring something to it. There's no doubt about that. You know, and I know that because I had one of those strange moments where I was listening to a track and I'd completely forgotten playing on it. And I swear to God, I actually had that moment where I went, "Oh, the keyboard's pretty good. Oh, shit, that's nice." And it suddenly kind of faded in like some kind of weird, you know, some weird fadey thing. And suddenly it's like, "Oh shit, I record that's me." Okay, so there's a definite flavor, and I think if you have that in what you play, it permeates, you know. So, and I remember once as well, I produced an album. A friend of mine called Frank King, he an album called Beautification.
He was a guest. He was a guest with us here a few weeks ago as well.
Right. Oh, you see, it's all coming together now. And so I produced his first album, Beautification. And the opening track has a short track that kind of introduces his record. And there's a friend of ours that said, "Oh, it's a bit like Pugwash." I said, "Well, you do know I was on the Pugwash records as well." So it would kind of make sense, you know, to a degree. It's not like, you know, I just turned up and kind of, "Where do you want me?"
So. And it's funny when you look at it that, when you think of Fran's album, and I was going to ask you about that, Beautification, great album, and what a performer as well, Fran. Like, he's just
it's great.
But like do you as time went on, say, and say
Mm.
even after Pugwash, and then you went on and did your solo stuff and got into
Mm.
that, but did you start to find, listening back to the records, it's like, yeah, I actually have a sound that's on all of these records. It's not just me playing it. There's a little bit of my production ethos gone in here everywhere.
Well, I think that kind of happens in spite of what you do. I mean, ultimately try to step out of the way of what goes on. But I think that if you care about what you're doing, and I think that's what you want to be, you want to care about what you're doing. It's hard to get involved. I find it hard to get involved with something I can't treat like it's my own.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I don't know what I'm doing really. I'm just kind of, well, then it really is a case of, well, what do you want me to do? What do you want?
Yeah.
But I have to have something with it that I would care about it like it was my own thing. So I can't remember what you asked me now.
Well, I think, but I know what you mean. It's important to, whether it's production or musicianship or whatever the hell you're doing.
You have to have a personal stake in it.
You do have,
you know. So in that, that's what it was. In that,
anything I've done down to the years, like any producer, any producer I worked with, if they weren't engaged with me or me with them, it just doesn't work. It breaks down. I mean, they have to.
No, it doesn't. No,
they really are a member of that band or that outfit or that process, and that's
exactly. Yeah,
I've learned down through the years to make sure they're involved, because they are a big part of it. And you know, when you think about what you want a record to sound like, they kind of know how to make it sound that way. So it's very important to have that closeness.
That's right. Now I do have definite do have definite sensibilities that I gravitate towards. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, it's they don't define it really.
Yeah.
And it's just really a matter of getting the best out of whatever it is. That's what you're looking for. And of course,
have you ever found yourself in a situation in a studio where, you end up working with this band or artist and you go, okay, crap, this is going to be completely and utterly electronical, digital stuff. What am I going to do here? Has that ever happened?
No, no, because I love electronic stuff anyway.
Okay,
so I don't have a problem with any of that. And and the more out of what you would think of my comfort zone as being, I would find, if it naturally is going to go that way, then I would go for it wholeheartedly. I mean, the first music I ever really was into that I discovered for myself was electronic music anyway, when I was a kid. So way before any Beatles or any of that kind of stuff, you know.
That's cool. Yeah, but it's good. It's good to have the roundedness that can have all of that going on, because you did kind of do. You had XTC's Dave Gregory involved when you were doing stuff in Abbey Road with Pugwash.
That's right. Yes, that's right. That's a
heavyweight in the music biz, in my opinion.
For sure.
That guy knows stuff. Yeah, that must have been awesome to be there with him and with the lads.
Amazing. Yeah, it was fantastic. That was that came actually, and he'll be able to tell you later on. Peter Fitzpatrick. I think it was.
He told me earlier on. So it's all kind of it's all coming together now.
Again, it's all coming together on this show.
I'm telling you.
If Dave Gregory suddenly appears in the background, well, you know what,
anything's possible.
You know what's happening. Yeah.
But that must have been something else. I mean, to be in Abbey Road and being a part of that, like, what an iconic place to be anyway. But
unbelievable.
What were those sessions all about? What was that? What brought you there, and how did you get?
Back then, it was something to do with, now I was kind of outside in the negotiations of that, but from what I can tell, there were strings that needed doing. This is for the Pugwash album Jollity.
Yeah.
And there was some connection, the section, as they were called, the string section from America.
Yeah.
We're going to come and do the strings, and there was some deal made where we could get Abbey Road for a couple of days. And
cool.
and Dave Gregory, I can't remember if Andy Partridge came through Dave Gregory or Dave Gregory came through Andy. I think Andy Partridge came through Dave Gregory.
Yeah.
But he got to hear the stuff anyway. He loved it, and he wound up writing the strings for about 4 or 5 songs, I think it was.
Brilliant.
And then Andy Partridge heard that band and was really enamored, and therein lay another part of the tale, you know.
Yeah, great involvement.
So, yeah, for sure. But then, I mean, we did actually wind up kind of have it. I think when we mastered that album, we wound up having dinner with the whole band, like, which is crazy. I mean, it's not very often you get the 3 members of XTC in the same room, even, I don't think, and we did, and we with the meat and curry.
Eat curry together, yeah, it's amazing though. Look, one of my favorite things about doing this and doing the show and all that is the whole behind the scenes thing, behind the music.
Oh yeah,
that's the best part. That for me is the best. That's the only reason I do this, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Geez, man, you've really given me a couple of good nuggets to kind of drink my cans on tonight and think about, because I love it. Before
there's loads more than that.
we could talk all night, and I know we could
go all night.
It's always the way when I do this. Jeez, I could do a whole special on everybody. But before I do leave you, I want to ask you about, because I got a kind of a tip last week, and I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but I got a tip. No, I can, because he said it.
Narrows your eyes.
Jer told me last week there's hints of a super group that's going to happen in Dublin, possibly, and it's going to involve himself, yourself, and of course Graham Hopkins on drums. Now, anybody who knows Graham, like, wow.
Yeah, super drummer. Yeah.
What do you think? Is that going to happen, or is it a bit kind of?
If it happens, I'm up for it. Like, we talked about it one night, and now, to be fair, there's a lot of things that get said as time goes along, but I would have been part of the conversation one night about that for sure, and I said, yeah, of course, yeah, it sounds great. I mean, I think that I don't understand why those kinds of things. Colin Querney, that's right. Yeah,
I meant to mention Colin because I know him from BIM and stuff like that. But I'll tell you, I don't know, like, if it happens or doesn't happen. But if it happens, I think it would be a fantastic gig to go to, because all of you got your own stuff.
It would be incredible, wouldn't it? I mean, I don't understand why those kinds of things don't happen more, being honest with you, because there's so many people who have no band, as it were, and it's more difficult to have a band these days. And certainly as you get older, people are less likely to commit to these things. Even young people, seemingly, who are putting bands together, they almost know there's going to be a shelf life, and they're not. It's not like their only thing. It's like, oh well, this is a project. Something,
They know.
Yeah, they know, and I'm sure you'd see that in BIM. A lot of those people, they're kind of wise to that kind of thing. Which is a shame, really, because you need a certain level of naivety to really pull it off, I think.
You do. You have to just throw yourself into it. I was in BIM. I went back for years as a mature student to study songwriting. It was great. And I worked under Max Greenwood, was our tutor. An amazing.
Max. Yeah, I know Max. Yeah, wow. He's a great guy. Yeah.
Mind-blowing in all senses of the word, like, as a musician. Yeah. But that aside, I got chatting to different people about different things, and I suddenly realized, hang on a minute, like Jer last week, I'm a drummer. I don't just play, guitar and sing and do the frontman thing. I can play drums too, and I like a bit of bass or whatever. And I started to I ended up in 12 different bands, and I was only there doing a diploma, by the way, for a year.
Yeah.
And I remember being at one of the college gigs one night, and one of the compers from Joe Wall from the Stunning turned around to me and he says to me, Jesus, man, he goes, you're worse than Phil Collins. He goes, how many bands are you in tonight? I said, but that's probably comes from being a bit older than the rest of them. I just want to play. They're all on there. They all have projects, but I want to be in all of the bands. I want to play.
Yeah, right.
I want to be in all. And it kind of reminds me of your stance on things too. You are, of course, Duncan Maitland and a singer-songwriter, but you're everywhere. In a good way.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's loads of other things. Like I say, I mean, I should mention there's a band called Stand who I was played with my friend Leslie Key, who's actually recording my new record as well. Do you know Leslie at all? He used to be in a band called the Wild Oscars.
Yes, I don't.
Way back, yeah.
I'm familiar. Yeah, I'm familiar.
He's actually just recording another solo record himself. So everybody's got something on the boil at the moment. Which sounds terrific. He's just done the thing with Joe Chester.
I love Joe Chester.
So, this is, like you say, this family tree thing, honestly. It's like...
Maybe that's what we need to do, Duncan, is that all of us of a certain age, of a certain maturity, we should all just get together and start up, like your page, Duncan Maitland Official. We should start up, like, mature musicians official page and say, look, do you want a drummer or do you want a bass? Or look, I sing, but I can also play this. And maybe we could have just this amazing super group national thing where we could be like a wedding band, only we just do our own stuff.
Actually, our own stuff. And of course,
we're available for garden parties, bar mitzvahs, but it's only original music.
It could work. I don't, like I said, I don't understand why it doesn't happen more, to be honest with you. Because I imagine that like 4 or 5 singers, everybody has their own material, everybody's kind of more mature, the harmonies that could come out of it. There's so much potential, really. It's just
the harmonies. Just the harmonies,
the harmonies alone,
We don't hear enough of that. We don't hear enough of that in bands anymore. I'm always saying that to young people.
The thing with harmonies is it's as close, I think it's as close to genuine magic as you actually encounter.
Absolutely.
Actually happening in a room. People respond to it like you've just walked on water, They can't believe it's happening in front of it because there's no trickery. It's just something that happens, and it's like, oh my God.
It either works or it doesn't work. Yeah, I agree. I'm a big fan of harmonies myself.
Oh, yeah.
I can sit there and track them all day long. I've been told before, just calm down a little bit on them.
You have to know when to stop.
You don't want to get too. But look, it's been a pleasure, Duncan, an absolute pleasure. Really, and I mean that. A lot of people were looking forward to hearing from you tonight. I certainly was, because I love the whole behind the scenes thing, and you've got all of that going on. I wish you the very best with the record.
Thanks so much.
All future
and of
projects.
course, we're recording Jazz new record as well. Is getting its running at the moment. The new single is getting on its feet, and Glenn Gray, I think you're having on the show.
Yes, Glenn is coming on. Glenn's
coming on, and the Venus Tea Room. You'll hear all about that.
Yeah.
So that's fun, and oh my God, there's too many to mention.
Listen,
my record, of course.
It's good. Yeah. Well, your record, that's the main thing tonight. That's the main thing. But thank you so much, though. And listen, if you're having a drink, stay with us and join us for a few more drinks. Stay with us and watch the rest of the show on Facebook. Please do, because you see a lot of people will be chatting and stuff, and your name will keep popping up all night long. So keep an eye. But thank you so much, Duncan Maitland, for joining us.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're an absolute gent. Take care, my friend.
You too.
Good night. Good night. So that was Duncan Maitland, and I can tell you, Duncan Maitland is somebody who you either really know about him, and if you don't, you do actually know him, because he's been involved in so many records, so many different sort of production gigs and stuff like that. He's everywhere. He's everywhere in the Irish music scene, I can tell you, and in the UK and in the US of A as well, because one of his friends is coming on the show in a couple of weeks' time as well. So he's everywhere. He's like the invisible genius that is on a lot of records. But anyway, that aside, we have run behind, but it doesn't matter, because when the conversation is good, it's good, and I hope the rest of my guests aren't going to kill me for that. So we're going to move on and keep moving on. But my next guest now is one of my favorite people in the entire universe, and you'll find out why she is, because we have a lot of stuff that we can talk about. But first, what I would like to do is to show you a little bit of what she's all about. This is Jackie Hudson Lawler, who is currently based in Drogheda in Meath, and I just want to give you a little video of her art. She is my first artist officially on the show, so I want to just give you a little run into this. So just have a look at what she does. It's amazing, really, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart.
Such a
Wow, wowee, wowee. That just gives you a quick idea of what this lady can do. And that is, believe you me, is just a snippet in the life of Jackie Hudson Lawler. And I mean a snippet, an absolute snippet. She is a woman of many talents, many talents that I'm aware of because I've been fortunate enough to work with her and avail of her amazing talents. But without further ado, let's just get Jackie on and she'll tell us way more. Jackie, how are you this evening?
Hiya, Dave. Oh my God, that was some intro.
I had the way out of that, but yeah, put that tissue down.
Will you be my agent, please?
Absolutely. Well, listen, do you know what? What goes around comes around, and I always believe in that. And doing this evening with you is just a huge honor for me to bring you on screen and tell everybody about you for a change, because you've done so much for me, which we'll get to at some point in our chat. But you deserve to be known more than you're known already, of course. But you're described as a visual artist with 3 strands. Now, this I love: drawing, painting, and printmaking. So it's so much. There's so much going on, okay? But your work, from what I've been kind of doing a little bit of digging, okay? But it's autobiographical theme exploring spousal abuse, okay? Now, I really thought that was very interesting, okay? I know we're starting on a serious note, but I love it because I know you as fun, Jackie, okay? And always great crack. So I just want to start on this, get right into it. Interpersonal relationships and female agency. What is female agency? Because I don't know what that is. Can you tell me what that is?
I haven't a clue.
Okay.
I'm more, I tell you, as a visual artist, I'm more visually based than with words. I'm not really great. And that is part of an artist statement that you have to write to put up on your website, and as part of funding. And I think for me, what it means is it's about, it's kind of a feminist thing. It's about reclaiming some ground for women and fighting for rights for women. Across the board. And it doesn't mean being anti-man, it means equality.
I get you. Yeah, I hear you. And I think that's good. That's a good thing. That's all good. Because like when I look at your work, and I know your work, of course, for a long time I know now, but also, and I'm only doing a little bit of reading off your statement. I don't want to stick to that because, of course, you will explain it much better in the statement, but to evoking feelings of discomfort. I was reading all these things, I was going, whoa. It kind of does, actually, because when I look at some of your art, it kind of does, and it's meant to make you uncomfortable, isn't it? Isn't that the idea? In a good way. It's meant to, like, if you're not uncomfortable, then you're not feeling something.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I know the work comes from. For me, I was never really interested in painting pretty pictures for the sake, a flower, a landscape. For me, the voice comes from emotionals and from conflict. I think my happiest times probably would be the times when I won't do a lot of work, but I work out a lot of issues, a lot of feelings, a lot of trauma, being angry at things through the work. And for me, they're far more interesting. And the type of artists that I like Paula Rego, Frida Kahlo, these were women who, like, they're my absolute heroes. They weren't afraid to put the real thing on paper. And I remember as a kid going into Eason's and looking through the art books and seeing Frida Kahlo on the bed having a miscarriage and thinking, oh my God, did somebody really have the absolute guts to paint that? Did somebody else have the guts to print it? It's not for everybody, but for me, I can hear what they're saying, and it really hits me in the fields, and that's what I'm interested in doing in my work.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, look, it's the same with music, the same with any form of art. There's things, music that, people say, oh, you shouldn't sing about that, really. Just keep to that happy-go-lucky sort of radio-friendly stuff. But nah, some of the best music in the world, when I think of the likes of Jim Morrison, for example, just off the top of my head, sang about things that were just very, not center at all, like far from center. But we love that. now, don't we? We look back and we love it.
We can't be afraid to show who we are. And I think for me, those ladies gave me a license to be who I am. And I hope one day to give other younglings the courage to speak their truth.
Yeah, I think you will. Yeah, I think you will, because I mean, if I cast my mind, okay, now I'm going to get a little bit more chirpy now. Sorry, I didn't mean to kick things off that heavy. Okay, sorry.
No, not at all.
It's important. But I do remember, like, you know, I still remember back to the first night that I bumped into you in Drogheda at the Purple Sessions, yourself and Kevin and all the crew up there.
And Peter was playing that night as well.
Yeah, who's with us tonight as well. But the very first thing that struck me about you was obviously chirpy, fun, great crack, all that usual stuff when you're on a night out. But your honesty was just like unshakable. You're just straight down the middle. There's no baloney. You just say it as it is, and that's it. And I think that's what comes through in your work, because I couldn't imagine you doing something just for the sake of making it colorful and nice, and, you know, because people might like it. It's because you do love it. And I've seen your behind the scenes work in your studio there at home and stuff. You put a lot of work into the behind the scenes stuff before you actually create. Would that be fair to say? You don't just
for me, the work is where I'm happiest always. When it's finished and when it's out there, I kind of feel it's for other people. Then it's very, very close to songwriting. When those couple of chords, you hear them and you hear something else, the adrenaline that flows and the excitement. For me, that's where it's at. Once it's finished and it's in the frame and it's up on the wall, I'm so done with it, really. Do you know what I mean? I'm on really to the next idea, and then the next thing is where the excitement lies for me. And I love the process. I love the techniques. I love learning about different techniques. In fact, I'm hoping to add a fourth strand to the tree in the sense the last couple of months I've been concentrating fully on sculpture.
I saw that.
And I think what happens is there's a lot I want to say. I want to do work for a long time about the mother and baby homes, but it didn't come true in the painting. It didn't come true in the printmaking or the drawing. And the moment I picked up a piece of clay and I started to play with it, it came true. So it was almost like I needed to do that for those things to come true in a way that resonated with me. So I believe in lifelong learning, like yourself.
Yeah, but you are always learning. You are. Every time I meet you, you're doing something new. Like, you know, like a while back when I was kind of watching all of your stuff, and you had, of course, the Doll's House. I have to ask you about that in a minute. Okay, the Doll's House is one of my favorite things of all. And you were kind of doing that stuff, and I was going, hang on a minute, what's happening here? She was painting a couple last year, and then she was kind of doing graphic design and different things, you know, and printing and stuff, and now she's making this house. I was like, wow, that was really cool. There was a lot going on in that Doll's House, wasn't there? There was a lot. Like that was a big project for you, like because it was right down to like the minutest of details in that house. Every room was a story, was a life story. And like you talk about embroidery and crochet and all those little things, all other things that you're doing. You had everything from the figurine to the tiniest of artistry in that house. Where did that idea come from? And what do you think of it now? You must look at it now and amaze.
As a child, I've always been really interested. I used to make my own doll's houses out of cardboard boxes. So miniatures really appealed to me big time. And my husband bought the house for me, and it sat there for years, not being worked on. And my best friend had breast cancer, Conchi, you know her.
We know Conchi.
And we were in Dublin getting some results one day, and they were good. And we came out and we had Prosecco for breakfast, some pancakes in Dublin. And then we went up to Emma, and we were just so high, you know, we were just so happy. And that day, when I looked around at the work in Emma, any fear I had about, you know, oh, I can't do that, that's silly, and oh, what will people think of this? It just dropped. And the whole thing came to me finished in my head, which is a lot of the time the paintings, the work, the image comes to me finished in the head.
Really?
Now, whether it ends up like that when it's done, I don't know. But
do you actually kind of have those kind of, like, you have a sort of a forethought and you can see the whole thing, do you, before more or less.
With the paintings and the drawings, a lot of the time I see the image, and then but I need to work from really good reference material. I don't just draw. So I'll use a lot of photography, and I have to set up my own scenes. Then photography is not great, but it's good enough to paint.
It helps.
I have to see what I'm doing. And in a way, the sculpture is good because it's not working like that. It's coming completely from the head without any reference material.
That day you were in Dublin, just to stay on that for a minute. That day you were in Dublin. So you got this kind of epiphany of an idea, of course, and of course after Conchi getting those results, I would feel the same as somebody's friend or herself.
Yeah.
Nothing else matters. So that must have been some of the inspiration behind the Doll's House.
That was the Doll's House. I think. When you go into it, and I would go to a lot of galleries, I would look at a lot of work, and you look at a picture, and then you go to the next, and you go to the next. We can only really retain 8 images at any one time. And it felt very, with music, when you're recording, you like to get some depth. I wanted to do something that had a bit more depth. I wanted actually to do something that when you looked at it on the front, there were drawers in that Doll's House that had drawings and diaries that were never revealed. And in a way, in life, we never know the whole story. Like, you're digging for the little nuggets of stories in the background, and they're so interesting. You're rooting around looking for them. And that's what I wanted. The house was never opened at the exhibition. You could just kind of see in the windows, and I like that idea. Yeah, I like the idea that you don't know everything. You can't.
Isn't it very true, right, to say, and especially in Ireland, right, because we know, being truly Irish ourselves, it's a big thing, but they have this saying, as they often say, was a street angel, house devil, and all this kind of stuff. People aren't about that. But isn't it so true that, like, every house has, be they dark secrets or whatever secrets or bright secrets or whatever they are, but every house has them. All of us as families, we all have them. I mean, you're not going to share everything with the world. There's no way. And that's what I love about the Doll's House. I would recommend to everybody to go and check that out. And I'm sure you still have it up on your website and stuff.
It's right behind me.
Give us a look. Have you got it there? Can we see it? Can we see it?
You can. It's on the other side, but it's actually it needs a good clear out now. I have everything kind of stored.
I'm going to plug it anyway, big time, to anybody watching to check out Doll's House. It's really cool. It really is. But also changing the culture in which you were raised. Okay, now I'm getting a little heavy here in this, because I want to know more.
Challenging the culture.
Challenging the culture. Sorry, challenging the culture. Right? The way you were raised. When you say that, are you kind of rebelling against the way you were raised, or is it just you just see it and you go, okay, I want to do things differently, or is it just that you've learned from that journey?
I think we're born into the families we're born into. We're born into the county, the area, the family. We that is our culture. We can't change that. But there's a lot about my culture, my growing up. Being, well, when I say raised a Catholic, I mean I was christened, but we didn't go to mass as a family, and the only family member I know that kind of, when I was young, went to mass was my father, and he was the last one that should have been in there, really, to be honest with you. So when you go to school, I went to school in a convent, and I didn't meet all the nuns I dealt with personally were beautiful women, and they were very, very supportive of me as an artist, which was was Super. Amazing. They took me in after junior cert and said to me, okay, look, you're going to be an artist, so you're going to do French and you're going to do home economics, because there's a large biology. They tailored my leaving cert towards me being an artist, which I thought was incredible.
That was a kind of a progressive convent to be going to school in, wasn't it?
It was Loretto in North Bay Georgia Street.
Absolutely. Two convents or anything like that, but that was quite progressive in general. But
then there was the whole culture that my mother's generation grew up in. You just had to have as many babies as you were going to have. There was no abortion. There was no contraceptive. I mean, imagine, you had to get on a train and go to Belfast and bring back contraceptives. And then you were to deal with these children and you were to feed them. The whole thing was just like on its head. And that's what I mean about female agency. Sorry, Dave, but just to say,
now it makes sense. Now it makes sense.
The very first home, for battered wives that opened in Dublin. We were guests in it, but we had nowhere to go before that opened. There was nowhere. Mum went to a priest and he told her, like, just to basically suck it up. There was no, if she had left, he owned everything. There was no money. There was nowhere to go, nowhere to stay. And the very first, home that opened, what is it? Bloody refuge, very first refuge in Ireland to open. We were in it. And I can't tell you how grateful I am for, particularly, I think, Nuala Flanagan, I think at the time. Sorry, Dave, I'll have to look up her name properly. But she was very instrumental in that. And I remember Mammy talking about her. And I can't tell you the difference. I was surrounded by these women and these children, and I'll never forget them. I was only 8 at the time. And it made a huge, huge difference. So I think that's what I mean. My work does tend to be about these struggles that we're still having.
Yeah, we are, aren't we? We actually are. We actually are. And I'll tell you something. Jeez, now I'm glad, because in a kind of a roundabout way now, I totally get what female agency means. I learn something new every week doing this show, and you are this week's lesson, female agency. I love it. It's good. It's good to know. Like, that's important. It is important. But no, fair play. And I didn't know a lot of this stuff about you. I didn't. I'll be honest. I know you very well, and you know me very. But this is what I'm trying to do tonight, is to talk to you about stuff we don't know about, because it's important. It really is. But female agency, it's a good point, isn't it? Because in the pandemic now, I can only imagine that there are a lot of people in strife. Houses are in strife. Families are in strife, and there's probably a lot of similar situations happening around the country right now as we speak. Due to the current situation we're in, that were similar to your situation. We haven't come that far, really, so it's important to keep that going. I really do think it is. But listen, let's get into a bit of crack as well now, right? A bit of crack. That was your music on the video as well, by the way. That was you singing, to let everybody know, and I love it.
Sacking that singer. I tell you, I'm so embarrassed.
No, I wouldn't sack that singer. Never. No. Come here, tell me this. What's the name? Is there a title on the music, on the song that was on that? I love it.
No, not really. It's just something demos that I was making at the time, and
really good. Really good.
Experimenting with putting things together and working with media.
It's really cool. It is really cool. I love the stuff that you do, because it's very experimental. That's my favorite part of it. And I know that you used to play the bass, right, back in the day as well. Just have to touch off this is important, because Peter is here. Peter is here tonight as well. But you guys in the early days, say in Dublin, you had a band, didn't you? You had a band together, and
we did.
You did very well. You were busy, and you were doing.
The first band was Cat Magic, and then the next band was called Kick. Basically the same members, except for two different singers. And I believe we got just when we split up, we got a letter from the Late Late to go on the Late Late.
Jesus.
And I just would have loved to have met. Like, great meeting you, Dave. And this is wonderful. You have to be my Gaybo now.
I'll be Uncle Gaybo tonight, okay? I'll do whatever you need me to be. Okay.
Well, okay, wait till I tell you.
Well, I tell you now, in fairness, our ratings have been neck and neck with Ryan Tubridy for the last couple of months.
Kidding me? That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm joking.
No. We have to be believers.
We believe.
The thing is with the lads, when we did split up, we stayed friends. And to me, this is the most important thing, because we've seen each other grow up. And Colin, our guitarist, he's in Australia. And now that we have the systems at home, whereby back then we were so busy rehearsing and gigging, and I never liked playing live. I never considered myself to be, I had to put a lot of work in to be a musician. I would have thought that I would have been the weakest member in the band, but that was really good for me, because I had to work very hard to keep up with them boys, and they were so good and generous to me in every way. So they feel like family. And when we started to be able to communicate on social media and get the interface and the bits and bobs, the last couple of years we've been tipping away at kind of writing together with a view to having the time and the space to not just come in with a few chords, let's get a song going and we're gigging, to take our time. And there's so much space for everybody. There's so much trust in the sense of, I know you do this thing great, come and will you have a go? So we've been messing around now, no pressure, because the lads all have day jobs, and but there's some nice stuff coming out of it, and hopefully in the future now we can come back on together and show you what we're doing.
Isn't it great to be able to do that, though, to go the full circle and do this? And I have spoken to many musicians in the last 15 weeks, many, and even not just on the show, but in general, and they've all had the same theme, and artists and poets and everybody in the world of arts have kind of said that the pandemic has actually been a bit of a sort of a nice thing for them. It's been a bit of a nice trip, if you like, because they've actually got to delve back into, as if one person said it to me a few weeks ago, I can't remember who, but about delving back into when you were like a teenager, and that naivety and fun that you had with music and stuff. We're almost doing it again. We're like in the second shot, and that's, to me, is like what you're doing with the guys. I think it's great.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
When I was a young fella, I often used to tinker around at the idea of being like on radio or TV or something like that, messing and chat. And it was all up through the years I used to say it, and people would say, "Why don't you do it?" And now this is kind of my little sort of guilty pleasure, doing this every week, and I love it. I never would have done this.
You are so good at it. It's come from a place. It's evolved naturally, and no, really, babe. Take that guitar off you. You're staying there now.
Well, I won't get rid of the guitar now. I'll keep that.
No, money joke.
But listen, no, all jokes aside, it is great that you're getting back into the music. I love to hear that people coming around full circle, and with Pete and all the boys as well. It's brilliant. But just before I do leave you as well, it's important that you are involved in the Zurich Portrait Prize at the minute. Is that fair to say? And the National Gallery in Dublin, and of course, just recently you were down in the Crawford Arts Gallery in Cork, and you have a painting there, don't you? One of your really good paintings. After the storm.
After the storm, I did a portrait painted a couple of years ago. I think the Zurich Portrait Prize it's an amazing thing because anybody can enter. It can be painting, sculpture, or photography. And Jesus, if you get in, your work is in the National Gallery. I mean, to me, my work here is done. And then it goes on to the Crawford then, and it's actually in the Crawford until Sunday. So there's still a couple of days to get in there.
If anyone's down in Cork, drop in and see it.
Yeah,
it's something. I love that painting, and I mean love it a lot. There's something about it. I started looking at it a while back. I saw it, but I started looking at it again this week because I knew you were coming on, and it's mesmerizing. There's I don't know. There's a million things going on in that painting.
Yeah, it's been incredible. Again, it was an image came to me. So I knew I wanted a wet babe, basically. So I went out into the garden in January with a bucket of very warm water. And I was naked under the coat, and I threw it over my head, and I had my daughter Jamie take the photograph, and I said, "No, please be really quick," So she was horrified because I took the coat off in the garden.
This is not an ice bucket challenge. Make it fast.
No, it was warm, but it was January, and I had no clothes on apart from the coat. But I took it off in the garden because I wasn't going to trail into the house with the coat, the wet coat dripping all over the place.
I hope there was no neighbor. I hope there was no neighbors looking out the windows.
I don't mind. I'm an artist, So
can you imagine that? Imagine being Jackie's neighbor now, and you just happen to be putting the kettle on, putting the tea bag into the cup, and next thing you look out, and here's Jackie in the nip running across through the flower bed.
All I can say is God loved them. God help them if they ever saw that sight. But anyway, I started painting, and then I was very worried because I thought, this is beige.
Yeah,
there's a lot of beige, here. This is not good. I call it actually 50 Shades of Beige to an artist.
Cool.
But it only really popped when the background, which was the ivy, which I really enjoyed painting. I kind of, get me teeth into this. So I loved working on it, and she has done more for me in terms of my career than everything else that I had done for 10 years to date, to be honest. Because you can do a lot, like being a musician, you can do a lot of running around And that's one break you get. And I think that she actually helped me, on the CV to get the Women on Walls gig, painting Catherine G. Johnson for DCU.
Yeah.
So that was major as well. It was a major commission. So it was good last year,
It's a domino effect we spoke about earlier on. You just get, you just happen to stumble on one thing that it just happens to hit people. It just, everybody likes it for some reason. You don't know what. You just create the song or the painting or whatever it is. But it certainly stands out, and I can't recommend it highly enough for people, if you're in Cork or not. But definitely After the Storm is a brilliant. Maybe we might stick a link up on. If you want to stick a link up, people can go look at it. I'd love people to see it because.
Yeah, no problem. I'll figure out how to do that.
I'm sure I will. Don't worry, you don't have to. I'll do it. Yeah. But listen, as always, we always I knew this was going to happen tonight, by the way, and I know Pete's there.
No problem.
we ran over time, but I don't care because I knew it was going to happen tonight because so many of you, we kind of have such crack together anyway, and we're always going to chat. But before you go, just as well as that, to let people know, I suppose, that know me, Joey Had to Fly and Mother Nature Says and Butterfly, you designed all of those covers, drew them and designed them, and of course, Tash, your sister, wonderful soul as well. Between the two, he designed all those covers. I've told everybody that, they all know that anyway. But if you didn't know that, that's how you and I know each other. It's important to tell everybody.
I have a little sketch here, Dave, of the initial sketch for.
Oh, look at that, Joey Had to Fly. Yeah, we sat down and had a conversation when I remember that, and I told you about the 3 young boys and the whole lot, and the tribute to my uncle and all. It was amazing, and you just drew that, and I remember when I saw it first.
Play that at a gig. That was one of those occasions where that image came into my mind every time you sang that song. And amazing, I really, really wanted to do the cover for that. So when you were releasing it as a single, I was like, oh, please ask me, because I wouldn't like to push it on you, but I really wanted
you didn't have to. You didn't have to. It's wonderful. I still love it. All of anyone who knows me loves that cover. And it says exactly what it is, what the song is. It's exactly what it is like. But as always, we never have enough time to chat because
pleasure.
People that don't know.
Peter's screaming at me here. Get up!
No, listen. People that don't. Well, look, I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it out because it's a night for honesty. People who wouldn't know you and me, how we know each other. When we when we phone each other old school, which we do, it could be an hour and a half. Like we'd be yakking on there forever. So this is no different to a normal one of those occasions. Unfortunately, we just
you made
hold on to the clock a little bit. But Jackie Hudson-Lawler, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave.
For me, this is full circle. I believe it's lovely to be able to tell people about you for a change and make sure everybody finds out what you're all about. So have a lovely evening there. Say hi to Kev and the family and everybody, and please sit back now and decant that bottle of wine or whatever.
I will.
Don't leave. I don't want you to whatever that is. I want you to finish it now. Okay, none of this half arson. Okay, finish it off, and we'll chat to you again soon.
Thank you, Dave. Take care. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, Jackie. Bye. So, Jackie Hudson-Lawler, like I said earlier on, lads, I kind of knew there was going to be twists and turns in the road on tonight's show because there's just the people that are on tonight are just, to me, they're just, I know them, but not just that, but they have such a history in the arts and music to talk about. But Jackie, of course, stands out in my mind because as a true artist, she's the first real artist that has come on to Friday Night Live, and she hopefully will pave the way for more, because I'd love to have more of those kind of guests on as well. It's lovely to see how people develop the ideas in painting, sculpting now she's doing, and all that kind of stuff. So it's cool, and it's a little bit of a deviation from music as well, so it's kind of nice to have that. So I hope you enjoyed that interview. I certainly did. I'm going to keep moving on because I don't want to hold anybody up too much. But this next song, okay, so this next dude that we have on is called Peter Fitzpatrick, but you will know him if you're watching him online as Circuit 3, which is his current pseudonym / act that he performs under, and it's synth pop, which I love. Okay, everybody loves synth pop. If you're into music, this is going to take you right back. This is going to take you back to 1978, okay, ish, and all of that kind of style. This is one of his songs called Safe to Sleep. It is just beautiful, and the video is amazing. But listen to the weight of these synthesizers. These are not cheap synthesizers, people. These are the real deal, and this guy can play them. Take it away, Circuit 3.
Last night as I was sleeping, night, I don't feel fear. Through the darkness, I served its purpose. My heart is my heart. It's worse than worthless. So don't start, don't start. Chances all look the same. Don't stop, don't stop. All chances look the same. I'm only safe when I am sleeping. I'm only safe when I am dreaming. I'm only safe in your arms. I'm only safe in your arms. Don't wake me now. Touch an echo. In the silence. Can't let go. Can't let go of this violence. Don't start. Chances all look the same. Don't stop. All chances look the same. I'm only safe when I am sleeping. I'm only safe when I am dreaming. I'm only safe in your arms. I'm only safe in your arms. Don't wake me now. Don't start. Don't stop. Chances all look the same. Don't stop. All chances look the same. Don't stop. Chances all look the same. Don't stop. All chances look the same. I'm only safe when I am sleeping. I'm only safe when I am dreaming. I'm only safe in your arms. I'm only safe in your arms. Don't wake me now.
Yeah. I can just see myself, right? I am visualizing myself somewhere in Germany, right? Somewhere in Germany back in 1978, 79, right? And I'm there and I'm in a nightclub and everybody is dressed head to toe in leather and bondage gear. And we're all jumping around the floor going crazy, full of piercings all over our bodies and just giving it loads. I can just imagine that. And he's laughing his head off here and I hope he doesn't mind, but that's just where I am. That's where I'm at right now. Without further ado, Pete from Circuit 3, how are you doing, man? I know.
There's a touch of Martin Gores in your memory there, with the lederhosen and everything else.
The lederhosen, man, it's got to be there, and I can see it. That's what I get from it. But all jokes aside, you're taking us back to a time that we need to actually revisit. It's good. Like 78 to 82. That kind of mid 70s right up into mid 80s, like the Human League, all that, Eurythmics. I think of bands like that, and I think of all the great electronica that was out there. Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about that.
I love the very bones of that band. It's an era that is I don't know, when you really dig below the surface of it, you just find amazing stuff. And also, look, it's that time when it's your year zero.
Yeah.
Music, you're a teenager, you're rejecting all the stuff your parents told you about, you're rejecting all the stuff that's thrown at you in school. And of course you discover a record label, and you have a friend who discovers like a mad single, and the next thing you know, you're out like buying records and just being difficult about music because it's yours.
It's brilliant, isn't it? It's but that like that era, like when I think about that era of music, like it really crashed into the world, say, just off the back of kind of rock, kind of glam, sort of glam heavy rock, like as such, and this stuff started to emerge, and a lot of the big acts like Queen and bands like that, and Peter Gabriel and all those guys, they were all trying to morph over to it because it became so popular so quickly, and some of them did and some of them didn't, but it certainly came in with a crash, didn't it?
There's a lot of stuff that was just good with timing. Like you can trace Kraftwerk back to, I'll argue with anybody that you can trace Kraftwerk back to surf rock, and this whole continuum. Then there's the timing of technology, which is a passion of mine, that enabled bands like OMD to go to an Argos type catalog. I think it was a K's catalog, and buy a cheap Korg preset. And you didn't have to be super wealthy to afford a synthesizer. It's a whole bunch of stuff. And I think what's important for people to understand, I think, about electronic music, popular music, is that it never really went away. It's always been there. And, I think as you get older, you suddenly realize, this stuff just goes in waves. It's always been there in some form or another, from, what, say, Delia Derbyshire was doing in the Radiophonic Workshop when it first became popular through the Doctor Who theme, right through all the experimentation in the 60s. Then people figured out how to make a commercial. Kraftwerk got rid of the weird flute stuff that they were doing and the weird stuff they were doing. And then they got totally electronic. All the stuff it inspired. Then Georgia Moroder with Donna Summer, like figuring out I Feel Love, and then the next thing you get people like Gary Newman accidentally discovering a synthesizer. And it's timing and happenstance contributes to it.
True. Well, because I mean, sometimes even and earlier on when I was doing a lot of the research and about you guys tonight and the guests tonight, and I was listening to your stuff. I was going, Jesus, like I could actually hear a kind of a Syd Barrett vibe here. This could be Pink Floyd in the psychedelic era. It could be. It's just a different style of synth. Well, I suppose keyboard or whatever. But
it's like the connection back to Duncan, because to answer the question earlier, I introduced Pugwash to Andy Partridge out of XCC because I'd done some work with Andy, and then through that, then Andy became a huge fan and signed Thomas. And then around the time he was working with Duncan, I got in touch with Dave through Andy and said, look, would you do a string arrangement? And as soon as he heard the demo that I did with Thomas of the song, and that was it. We found ourselves in Abbey Road that day. That was wild. That day was wild.
I can only imagine.
I have 5 hours of video of us in the Beatles studio too. I was a Beatles fan, still am a huge Beatles fan. That's why I love pop, the pop form and the song form. But I'm kind of a hybrid between all of that stuff and the electronic thing. I think I was pushing it to one side and ignoring it, and then I found my voice a number of years ago. Several years ago, I realized, go back to what you love, and that's how I ended up doing the Circuit 3 thing.
Well, I can tell you, like Circuit 3, for those who don't know about it, and a lot of people do, but your streams last year are unrivaled, in my opinion, and I mean that genuinely, unrivaled by anything. And I've seen a lot of live streams on Facebook in different formats, but yours were concerts. Like, it wasn't just let's just pop on here for 10 minutes and do something. You did entire concerts. I personally, and I said this to you earlier on, sat back here and had a couple of beers on a few occasions while these streams were happening, and I was at a concert. I mean, I was proper at it. Your lights, your musicianship, your everything, the stage, everything, you really put a lot of work into it. I mean, it's not a fly-by-night live, and I recommend it highly. Everybody should go look at them.
There's a few highlights up on YouTube. I've taken a pause because it was either keep doing the live streams or not finish the new album.
Yeah.
There's a huge amount of work goes into it.
The energy.
It was incredibly rewarding because the last gig I played before the pandemic hit was actually in Seattle. And the last gig I played before that was in London in the previous summer. I can't get arrested in this country because venues and promoters don't want to put on 50-something artists. They don't want to put on electronic artists. They're just not interested, which is economically stupid. Because if you look at the demographic of people who go to my shows, they're of an age that spends money, that doesn't trash the place and keeps coming back.
Good point.
You know, it just kills me. So I stopped railing against it, and actually doing the online live stream thing has liberated me. I'm no longer dependent on the gatekeepers to let me in, for the privilege to spend hours preparing for a gig that I won't get paid for, and you know I'll be rushed out of the place. So yeah, it just absolutely liberated me. It was amazing because you see, I need the chats of the gigs, and if you go to Facebook. And you can see the chats, and there's people from all over the world. I didn't realize this because I knew I was selling albums around the world. But there was one guy in Australia kept getting up early for breakfast to watch the gig, and there were people in the States watching, in Canada, across Europe. It was a real eye opener to the potential of what you can do if you put a bit of effort into figuring out technology to do multiple cameras and lights, and then you have to have the songs though, and then be willing also to do cover versions, because you can't be so arrogant.
You do, you do. You're right.
So arrogant just to do your own stuff. I think.
Well, I did I did a whole year of live stuff on the guitar before I even got stuck into the show itself here. And I always was very aware of the fact that I've got to do some covers, or I can't just do, like, I love doing my own stuff. You can't, give people a little bit of what they want, because they're not going to get interested otherwise. But you're right, the quality of the live is very important, but the music, the songs have to be there. But the lives have to be good. I've seen, so much stuff out there that's kind of fly-by-nighty stuff, and it's, it's average and it's grand. But you go to a Circuit 3 live and it's like, Jesus, man, you're going to sit back there and you're going to put that. I Chromecast you onto the TV, right? I don't do that with many live. I make sure I put them on no, I do, and I put them on the screen, and I turn off the lights, and I crack open a few beers.
That's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do.
It's supposed to be, and the light show actually works in the entire room. Your light show works off the TV, and it does. It actually works. It's brilliant.
That's the way I hoped it would work, and it took a huge amount of effort, and just the encouragement from friends just to keep doing it. It was incredibly rewarding. And it's given me a lot of confidence. Actually, it gave me a bit of confidence to try out brand new songs. So I did that weird thing that you've heard about bands where they road test the new songs. I actually got to do that with almost all of the material on the new album, which is just about to go to mastering. And it was a really interesting experience, because people are now going to buy, I hope, my next album, having already knowing a couple of the songs, and that's it's a cool place to be.
It is,
and it was a great way to try, because I actually changed bits then, because when I realized doing it live, and I'm thinking, oh, what's this like to listen to? And I realized, it's like, yes, Dougal, we'll drop that sax solo.
Road testing is a thing. Road testing is a very real thing. I know myself, when I started to work with some of the bigger acts from Ireland here, doing support slots and different things with my own album back in 2010 or whatever, and I did a lot of work with Aslan and stuff, and I saw the lads doing it, actually road testing songs, and I'd heard of it, but it actually is a real thing, and it works. It's great to be able to do it, because you get a kind of a sense of, okay, this will work, or this is not going to work. Let's just, shelve that. The new album, Technology for the Youth, is coming out in the autumn. I cannot wait. I'm looking forward to it. Now, I know you have you've two albums out already. Silicone Chip Superstar. The Price of Nothing and The Value of Everything. Great names, man. Really great.
I didn't bring the vinyl down because that sold out on vinyl. I'm so pleased to say. It was lovely blue vinyl as well. That's all. There's only a couple of dozen of these left on. I think it's green vinyl. Yeah, I think it was.
Wow.
It's not mad. I can't remember the color of the Blummin album. I think it's green vinyl.
Yeah, cool.
And the next one will also be on vinyl and CD. It's called Technology for the Youth.
I think it's a great name. It
comes from a magazine. It comes from a Russian magazine. Yeah, the whole album is about the space race and themes around the space race, and it was a thing I was fascinated with as a kid. I was the geeky kid who had the Airfix model building the Apollo 7 5 rocket. I was the geeky kid who had the book about Skylab. I loved all of that stuff.
Cool.
So a lot of the songs are about they're about the hidden stories of the space race.
So
stuff you don't hear about. Neil Armstrong was amazing, but for every Neil Armstrong, there's a Valentina Tereshkova.
Yes.
There is a whole history of Black African Americans and how they were absolutely crapped on by NASA and the US state in the space program. And some of the interviews are heartbreaking. Like the song I was going to suggest that I might play later is about that. When I learned what was going on, you know, and the hidden stories of the space race.
Wow.
Like, did you know there's a place? I didn't realize there's a place called Star City. I had no idea. I thought it was a made-up name, but it's where they train. They still train to be astronauts. So
Star City.
There's a song title, so I had to. I've written a song from a song title, and it's on the album. Yeah. So it's all about that stuff.
You've got a song on the album called Star City, have you?
Oh yeah, it's the second song of the album.
Brilliant.
I haven't done that one live yet. That's not one of the
ones. Well, listen. The space race is still very much a thing, isn't it? It's very much a thing where we've got, like, as they say, as David Bowie predicted, life on Mars. Well, we have probes on Mars now, and it's still very real, a real race and a struggle. It's a pity we couldn't do a little bit more down here on planet Earth. I think try and tidy up the shop a little bit.
Well, that's what the opening track on the album sort of.
But anyway, listen, these synthesizers. Now I have to ask you, because I was talking.
I'm surrounded by them.
Jackie, you know, our mutual friend that was on before you, Jackie Hudson Lawler. Tell me about this new synthesizer. You spent a few bob on a new one there recently. You don't just go for the old run-of-the-mill keyboard, as we like to call them. You've got the weight. When I listen to the tracks, by the way, and even what we played there, Safe to Sleep, just through the desk here and through the Mac here that I'm using, which is so far from any sort of tape sound or vinyl sound you'll get. The weight of those synths is so obvious. What kind of synths are you playing? What do you? I know you like Moog, but you must have a mix, do you?
So I have a Moog Sub 37. I have a mix of them, and I'm actually getting rid of a few. They're not in this room. They're in the exit lounge in the house. I realized that it took me a while just to find out what do I really, really like. So the latest one I have is a thing called a Prophet 10, which is it's like they're getting their first sort of Gibson SG or a pre-63 Fender or something. You know, it's Stradivarius, and unfortunately it comes with an associated price tag, and I hate talking about the price of these things.
I know.
It's a bit crass, but you know, it's the most expensive one I've bought, but it's not the most valuable one. The most valuable one is on loan, and I can't wait to get it back. But the pandemic.
Tell me who that's on loan to.
Oh, so the name will be familiar to some folks. Is just an amazing artist called Martin Ware. Martin was one of the founders of the Human League. He would have co-written Being Boyle and so on, and he then went on to found Heaven 17.
Yes, great band.
Sing just string hits. He produced Darby's first album. He produced tracks on Tina Turner's Private Dancer. He's got a company with Vince Clarke from Depeche Mode, my synth hero, that does immersive sound and 3D sound. He was basically, what he was doing was he was going to do a live show using Heaven 17, and he did invite members of Human League if they wanted to participate to do the first two Human League albums, the really seminal albums, Travelogue and Reproduction, hugely influential, and they were going to do them live. He's been interviewed by a friend of mine, Chi, over at the Electricity Club, and he asked him, "Are you going to use the original synths?" And he said, "Well, I don't have them. If anybody has a Jupiter 4, you know, we'd want me to buy one or rent one." And so I happened to have Martin's mail address, and I said, "Look, you can borrow my Jupiter 4. It happens to be in perfect condition." So I flew over to London with it a few weeks later, loaned it to them. They were ready to do the shows in March of last year, and everything shut down.
Wow,
and now I'm in a situation because the synth is over there. Brexit has happened. It's quite valuable, and I have to negotiate my way back into the country with it because I can't get stuck with it. And it's like how do I explain why this is being brought in now? But it's an amazing instrument. Juke 4 is a super instrument.
Cool. Isn't it? It's kind of great. Like the fact that you've got it on loan to Martin Ware, one of your own kind of musical heroes as such. It's brilliant.
It was wild. Like we went out to lunch and we were chatting about stuff, and I was thinking to myself, I remember I didn't say it to him because you don't say that, but I remember being at 15 listening to those albums, and if you told me then, you'd just be hanging out with Martin having a bit of lunch down in Soho in London, I would have laughed. And we talked about synths and music, and we've got a lot in common around sort of politics and so on, which was cool experience. And he's a really generous person. He's been very kind and sort of plugging
cool
stuff.
Speaking of the weight of those synths, and I said it to you when we were sound checking earlier on, and you literally hit a chord on the synth. I was like, Jesus, could you please give us a demonstration of that?
Sure. Wow. Would you like me to do a short song?
I would love. Well, I would actually, if possible. I don't know what it sounds great here. I don't know if we'll hear your vocal loud. It doesn't matter. The synth is amazing.
We'll give it a try. So
what are we going to go for?
This is as unplugged as circuitry gets. So I'm going to use my Oberheim OB6 and my Sequential Prophet 10, and I'm going to do a song off the next album called Spacewalking.
Wow.
And it was inspired by the hidden history of Black African American astronauts in the space program and what was done to them, which was shameful. And it was also a reflection on the resurgence of social justice and injustice in the US and elsewhere, including in this country in the Black Lives Matter movement. And it just came out of a day where I was reading about Juneteenth and learning stuff and trying to get my own head around it. And it just seemed to come out in this song, which wrote itself in 45 minutes.
Wow.
And the smart arses in the chat will say, yeah, it sounds like it too.
Listen, I'm delighted to be getting a little bit of a scoop on one of the new tracks off the album. This is great. In your own time. Yeah, go for it.
Give it a try, right. Let's see. It's in the saddest of all keys. Tried to understand how a man can hate a man, the color of skin, or push against the wall and wait for it to fall. It's time to begin. Let's go spacewalking. We'll go spacewalking. I'll bring ya spacewalking. I'll bring ya spacewalking. We don't have the time. I don't have the words no more. I don't have the words. Want the world to know. It's time to let it go. Or we're gonna regret it. Let's go spacewalking. We'll go spacewalking. I'll bring ya spacewalking. If walking the stars is a dream, then maybe we're dreamers. Dance in the sky can be real if we're believers. We'll go spacewalking. I'll bring ya spacewalking. I'll bring ya spacewalking. Spacewalking. Cannot walk alone until you're free at last. My freedom is bound to yours. Free at last. free at last. We'll go space walking. I'll bring ya space walking. I'll bring ya space walking. I'll take ya space walking. There you go.
Wow. That was, to me now, that was the treat. That was the treat of the night, man. And
so
the fact that you actually did a Circuitry acoustic unplugged kind of vibe with a synthesizer, that takes balls and a lot of it. Thanks you. Thanks so much. And great to hear something off the new album. That is a great song, man. That's really catchy, and I mean it. And obviously, good subject as well, but very catchy. I'm going to be singing. I'm going to be singing that all night long. I know.
Good.
That's what you want. I can't thank you enough for coming on, giving us your time.
Thanks so much for inviting me. It's great to finally catch up. It's been a long time.
It has been great. It has.
Isn't it amazing the connection with Jackie and Duncan and everything? It was just
everything is intertwined. I love it.
Small island. We all have to behave ourselves.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do, and that's it. I'm finding more as the weeks go on that this show is actually demonstrating that more and more and more, and that's the best part. How small it is and how small we are. We all are, but we help each other out. That's the thing. That's the idea, isn't it? It's important. It is. You are a legend, my friend. Keep going with Circuitry. I want to hear more. I really do. And I look forward to it. And I shall chat to you again in the near future. Absolutely.
You take care of yourself, Dave, okay?
Okay. Take it easy, buddy. Mind yourself. Bye-bye. Circuitry, Pete Fitzpatrick, Circuitry. Wow, that was cool. That was a real treat. I wasn't expecting him to do it in live because we, earlier on when we were sound checking, I just heard the synth and I was like, oh man, could you just play a chord on that for me before we finish the interview, just to demonstrate? And that, by the way, doesn't even demonstrate the synthesizer sound close enough, because true, of course, the internet and all that kind of stuff, you don't get the fullness of it, but you get the idea. But then when he decided to go and he just went and did a whole song. Wow, just amazing. So thank you so much. Off the new album as well. So guys, check it out. It's coming out in August/September. So it's going to be cool. Technology for the Youth. I love the name of it. I love it. And I'm sorry to everybody, the way tonight has gone behind. It's just one of those nights. I kind of knew it was going to happen. I did my best to kind of rein everybody in, but you just can't rein in the good stuff. You just can't. When the crack is there, it's there and it's good. But my next guest, without further ado, because I really want to introduce you, this is another example of on Friday Night Live where I don't know somebody at all, and then somebody just pops in, says hello. A friend of mine I was talking to had been dropped into me a couple of weeks ago and said to me, I used to be in a band a long time ago in Limerick, down here, by the way, where we're broadcasting from, and my friend has gone on to do great things. And I said, okay. I said, who's your friend? And he said, my friend is Dec Burke. I said, okay, I don't know who Dec Burke is. Tell me more. He said he's gone on to do great things, and he's done a lot of good stuff since I knew him way back in Limerick. So he said, go get him, go find him, check him out. I did. I went and checked him out, and man, I was glad I did. I'll be honest. I'm going to give you a little sample of something that I just picked from Dec. And it's called Everlasting, and it's from an album called Book of Secrets. So we're going back a little bit to 2016, and there's a lot more to talk about in current times, but I'm going to give you a listen to this. This just give you a general idea of the wonderful guitar playing that Dec can create, and also the vocals, everything, the sound, the production, everything. It's wonderful, and there's a new album on the way as well, so we're going to talk about all that in a minute. But here, without further ado, is Dec Burke.
Sleep, so when deeper am I to miss that's gonna catch you and find me silently? Am I maybe I keep feeling like there's something behind me. I hear screams, I feel heat, a weeks that repeat finding this life fantasy that's lost and reborn. It feels so much this song. wants to live on. Motive, it won't leave. It just stares and it wants to define me. I need peace. I can't see which way is gonna kill or divide me. Is this real? Can it be? A biz down and the wind's behind me. If I scream, will you hear? Or just send a thing still keep smiling? This kind of fantasy that's lost and reborn. It feels so much that somehow wants to resolve onto the next degree. It's everlasting and it wants to live on. It wants to live on. This kind of fantasy that's lost and reborn. It feels so much that somehow wants to resolve onto the next degree. It's everlasting and it wants to live on. It wants to live on.
Wow, wow, wow. An explosion, an absolute explosion of good, solid rock. I love it. It's been a while since kind of had a bit of that stuff on the show. I have to say it's been a while. It's been too long, actually. And when I discovered Dec and discovered everything about him, I just love it because I am a rocker at heart and I love the big sound. And we all do, of course. Why wouldn't you? Of course you would. So without further ado, hello, Dec. How are you?
Good evening, Dave. How you doing?
I'm great, man. Welcome from Northampton, UK, and welcome to Friday Night Live in Limerick, in Ireland. Your old stomping ground.
The old sod, yeah. Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's great. Good to be here.
Listen, I'm only, as I say, discovering your stuff throughout the week. I picked that song. I hope you don't mind because I just think it's an absolute raging stomper of a tune. I get kind of Van Halen vibes off it. I get that big sound. I love it. It's a classic, great tune. But I know, look, more importantly, there is a new album coming out. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Thanks. So I've got a new album coming out on the 24th of September. Yeah. The last one being Book of Secrets 2016. But that's going to be 10 songs. Myself singing, playing guitar, playing keyboards. My good friend Scott Hyam, that used to play with Pendragons on drums, and I've got lots of other luminaries involved that are going to come in and make me sound better.
Brilliant. Life in two dimensions.
Yeah,
that's cool. Where is that from? Is that a kind of? I could be wrong here, but is it a kind of Is it a pandemic thing, or is it not? Is it nothing to do with that?
Yeah, maybe it is. I mean, I always struggle with lyrics. I mean, the music always comes first to me, and then I sort of leave the lyrics till the end, and then sweat and go, "What on earth am I going to write about this time?" And sometimes when I'm putting the vocals down, the words suggest themselves while you're going blah 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 into the mic. And sometimes and that sort of came out, and I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. I kind of like that. And then it did sort of fit with the pandemic thing, that people are sort of in two different.
That's what I got. That's what I got. Yeah, I got a very relevant vibe off it there. I was like, this is my life. This is most of our lives in two dimensions. We're kind of, we're living this, trying to live a normal life alongside this surreal, crazy situation,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a good title. Whether you meant that or not, it's a good title. It's very relevant without explain. A lot of artists are coming out with this whole, the lockdown album, the pandemic album, the obvious thing. Whereas this is not obvious, but it could be that, or it might not be that. That's what I like about it. But you've got a fair old history in the music biz, my friend, and we can go way back for a minute here and talk about Limerick. So let's just talk about that for a minute. Trevor Healy, a great bass player from Limerick, good friend of mine, and Shane as well, and all the boys here, and all the lads. That's how I found out about you. We were chatting and stuff. But what was that band all about back in the day in Limerick? You and the boys.
With Trevor, that was my very first group. It was Trevor on bass. My brother was the vocalist. I was guitar player and keyboards, and a guy called Darren on drums. And we used to play Cult covers, The Cult. And we tried writing some of our own songs, and we weren't too bad. That band would have been about 80, 89. I picked up guitar around about 88. So we were just finding our way, but it was a good solid band. Trevor was a good solid bass player, good guy to be in a band with. We had a lot of fun. And then sort of mid 89, I moved to the UK. That was the end of that.
That was the end of that. Oh yeah. So, going to the UK was obviously a good thing for you. I mean, because you went on to do various different things with Audioplastic, Darwin's Radio, and Frost.
Yeah.
So they're pretty in my and I didn't know much about them until I started looking at it this week. A lot of stuff going on the prog rock front. Really, really cool bands. You guys made a lot of inroads in all of those outfits.
Yes.
Do you still work with any of those guys from those bands?
I'm still in contact with Simon from Audioplastic, but Simon was down with cancer. He's beat it, thankfully, but he's still trying to recover from that. So and then I played. He's a tremendous musician. I played with Sean, who was in Darwin's Radio. He played in my sort of solo band. And I haven't played. Well, actually, Nathan, who's the bass player with Frost, he played on my first solo album. But then I just sort of went and did my own thing. Aside from, I did a session for a Dutch group I knew called Dilemma. Yeah, and it was a session, and the guys were superb. They flew me out there, got paid, treated really well. I thought I could get used to this. Did the session, came home, and it must have been a year later. Totally forgot about it, and then I got a call from the drummer going, "Oh, that album's done." I'm like, "Oh yeah, the album, right?" And we're going on tour. Oh, fantastic! Well, good luck, guys. Hope it goes great. No, you're coming with us, right? So I was then out. So we did very well with Dilemma. We supported Mike Portnoy's band Sons of Apollo. We did a European tour with them.
Cool.
So there's that. But yeah, I'm back to my solo thing now. I'm really glad because I kind of got away from Frost and Darwin's Radio so I could. Because I was writing all this music and I wanted to concentrate on that. Whether I succeeded or fell over, you find out.
It had to be done. Yeah, you got to do it. Yeah, absolutely. And you are glad. I'm pretty sure you're happy enough you've done that, because, well, listening to Book of Secrets, like, and I've listened to more than that song. I've just used that because it's the one I just my favorite. But it's all good, and I'm looking forward to there are clips, of course, up on your website at the moment from the new album, but I can't wait to hear it. I'm actually looking forward to it. It's going to be a bit of crack. And of course, when my good friend Trevor is home again, we'll both make sure to stick that on here on the old CD player, and we're going to just do a bit of headbanging out the back and enjoy it. I can't wait.
The more you drink, the better it sounds.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it's all about. Can I ask you about, say, during lockdown, did you get to write sort of acoustic music as well? Did you ever kind of get to sit down with the acoustic guitar and say, look, I'm going to write something that's completely different to what I'm used to normally? Something you kind of go, I'll never release that, but I just got to do it.
I've played a lot of acoustic, but I haven't played a lot. I haven't written a lot of acoustic music. There is an acoustic song on the new album, and it's got some cellos and stuff in there as well, which sounds really nice. But I haven't really. I guess, you know, at the heart of it, I'm a guitar player. I'm a guitar player that sings, and I don't really view myself as a singer. You know, I kind of get away with it. So I think
I would beg to differ there, my friend. I'm sorry. I heard you doing a cover of a Bryan Adams song during the week on your Facebook page, and it's every bit as good as Bryan Adams. No, I beg to differ now. Let's not shoot ourselves in the foot. You're a very good singer.
I might. You never know. The bug might bite me at some point, but at the moment, I would feel like really exposed. You know, to do that. So maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. I really can't wait for it, though. I really can't wait for the new album and stuff. I know you were saying earlier on you're moving everything around the house and stuff like that, but maybe if you're on again at some point in the future, we'll get an old live song, get a live tune from yourself.
It's a promise.
That'd be really cool. But Dec, I cannot thank you enough. I'm sorry for all everything ran over tonight as usual. It happens some nights. Some nights it's just like clockwork. Most nights, but I knew there was going to be a few twists and turns.
Not so. It's a pleasure, and thanks for having me on, Dave.
It was absolutely a pleasure having you as well, and I wish you all the best with the album. We will keep plugging it here in Ireland, and I can promise you when it comes out, all the links and all that will still come up on Friday Night Live when it comes out. So we'll keep in touch that way.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Dec. Take care.
Take care.
Good night. Take care. Bye. Dec Burke in the UK in Northampton. Well worth checking out, lads. Go check it out. The albums, all of his albums, there's a serious discography there. But of course, like that's 2016. So the new album is coming out now. It's going to be great. I heard some of the clips on it online. It's really good. So if you just check out Dec Burke on Facebook or YouTube or anywhere, all the platforms, he's everywhere, and it's really, really cool. Major apologies to the hold up tonight to my guests more. So I know you're all having a ball watching it, and I'm having a ball doing it. And my biggest apology tonight, of course, is to my last guest, who I can't wait to get on, because we've been chatting. We know each other a long time, myself and this boyo, I can tell you. And he started chatting to me, I'd say about a year or more ago, even more, I'd say. But he was telling me he was getting into kind of writing poetry and lyrics and sort of different things like that. And we were just chatting one night, and he was telling me all about it. And I thought, yeah, cool. We'll keep going or whatever. And then he kind of got on to me a few times and said, look, I'm really getting going at this. I'm really getting into it. And I was like, brilliant progress. Everything good. And then, of course, Friday Night Live kicked off, and he got in touch with me. He says, listen, can I come on? And I was like, how's the thing going? How's the poetry going? He said, it's going good. It's going great. And it is. He's just after setting up his own poetry page. And spoken word page on Facebook, literally just after setting it up a couple of days ago. And in the space of time that I was speaking to him only a couple of weeks ago about coming on the show here, he has done phenomenal things. He's picked up the acoustic guitar. He started to write songs and play them and sing them on Facebook, and he's delivering them all on his page, and they're brilliant. He's literally at the beginning of his journey as a singer-songwriter, and I can tell you it's going to be great. He's getting other people involved who are singing songs for him as well. He's clever enough to get his songs out there, and he's getting everybody to sing them too, which I think is a great move. But I really like the poetry so far. This is what I'm really enjoying, and I love his spoken word stuff. So, and he is, of course, in Waterford, one of my favorite places in the country of Ireland. And it is, of course, Gearóid O'Foran. And I'm going to bring him on now and apologize. Gearóid, Ger, as I call you.
Hello, Dave.
Major apologies for holding you up tonight. Everything just got away from us. How is life in Waterford? Can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's good. There was a bit of an interruption there on the signal somewhere.
Don't worry about that. It happens. It happens. Tell me this. Tell me no more. You are moving at 100 miles an hour at the minute with this, with the new poetry, the songwriting, and the spoken word. You don't hang around. I'll give you that. You certainly don't hang around, man.
Well, I'm a late bloomer. I'm not 20, but I'm not 50. I'm just 40 years of age. But I've set myself a couple of targets, so I'm taking them one at a time. But I'd just like to say thanks very much for having me on the show. Very humbled and honoured. So thank you.
Listen, don't be humbled at all. You're welcome, more than welcome to come on. We've been chatting a long time. We know each other, of course, and we know each other a long time. But when you got into this, I was like, what's happening here? And then the more you were chatting to me about it, it was developing. And then I started to see you doing it. And then you sent me some lyrics, and all of a sudden, boom, it's up online, and I'm seeing the poems, and I'm seeing you doing them on in video format, and they're brilliant. They really are, and I mean that. You are originally, and I have to say this is important, a Mooncoin man. Is that right?
Yeah, Mooncoin, Kilkenny. So I'm living in Waterford City, married there to Amy, as you know there. But I'd be still black and amber to the backbone, but living in Waterford City. So
Waterford City. Black and amber to the backbone all the way, Jar. But listen, it's a thing. You got to do something really nice a couple of weeks ago that I saw. Actually, last week, I think it's very recent. Outside the Tower Hotel, you read a poem called Three Sisters, and it's available to watch on your page now. I loved it, by the way, and you did it with Friends of the River Shore. How did that happen? How did that come about?
Well, the Friends of the River Shore, they organised a lovely event just outside the Tower Hotel, as you said. And one of the organisers asked me, would I read out a poem? And I said I would, sure. All publicity is good publicity. So
absolutely.
I said I'd go down there and read out the poem. And with the crowd, it wasn't a massive crowd. That's not important. But so I was happy with that.
You enjoyed it, yeah. The performance is the main thing, isn't it? It doesn't matter how many people are there or what's the scenario is. Once you get up and do your stuff in front of people, I think is. Can you hear me? We've got a bit of a freeze there. Don't worry, we'll keep you online. It happens sometimes, Ger. You were freezing there. I don't know what's going on, but you can hear me now.
Yep, can you hear me, Dave?
Yeah, I can hear you. It was great to do that. It really was great to do that. And I loved it. I love watching it. And of course, another thing I wanted to mention, because on your page at the minute, you've got a song called Do It All Over Again. I love it, man. I've only watched it today. And as a tribute to the nurses and the frontline workers, it is a super, super song. And I mean that. I loved it. And I do love it. And people should go and check out. What's your Facebook page where people can go and check all this stuff out?
It's called Garrodo Foran, Poetry and Songwriters. So I just set up lately, so everything going forward is going to be on that page. So hoping to build up a little bit of support there and put my stuff out, and sure if people like it, great. So that's the aim. Just get it out there any way I can.
Get it out there. You're right. Get it out. People will like it. Get it out there. And I think you're right. Like there's no point in hanging around in this day and age and the music biz or any biz. Just get it out there. You're right. That's the way to do it. Too many people hum and haw about stuff. Everything is good, and people will pick up on it. I mean, I've picked up on it, as you know, many people here tonight will, and it's growing really fast. It really is, and it's great to see, by the way. Love to see somebody getting started at it and just going for it. And you are, buddy. You're really going for it. Yeah, what are you going to do for us tonight?
Well, tonight I'm going to do it's funny enough called spoken word. So I'm just going to read that to you now there. So.
I love this. You introduced me to this about a week and a half ago, and I told you I loved it. You do. I do love it, and it's only a snippet of what you can do at the minute, and I'm looking forward. By the way, spoken word is becoming very big at the minute. It's a new thing that's coming around again, and it's becoming very popular. So I think you're definitely going to be one of our leading people down around this end of the country. I think the more you do, I can see things moving very fast for you. I really do.
Fingers crossed.
Listen, keep going, man. Keep going. It's great. Everything's great. So without further ado, Garrod Foran, will you give us a blast of spoken word by yourself?
I surely will. So this is spoken word. I don't anticipate for you to be hypnotized by my words, like a dragonfly wishing he could die 1,000 times. So we could see the light of day one more time. As the sun sets in the east, those in the west shiver in fear, like a quiver without arrows. As time ticks down, for the beginning of the end. For the lifeboat is full of debt, waves entice you in to choke you out. If you're lucky, you will spit it out, what you take for granted upon your tongue. The hummingbird sweet tune undresses my ears to something they will never smell. As I look in pity to the gummy child, knowing in time there'll be a brighter smile. As you dial the numbers in your head, the operator transfers you to a process of thought. It's up to you to act it out. Strong like an oak or bend like a willow. That's for you to decide, my friend. That's that.
Wow. Love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Just very honest and very direct. Just great. I love it. You have that kind of thing about you anyway. As long as I know you, you're just very straight up, and it's coming across in your stuff. I like that. That's, you know, there's no point in dancing around the points. Just get straight in there and say it straight out. It's great. I wish you all the best with it, man. I really do, and I visualize great things happening. I really do. I think you're going to keep plugging on with this. Keep it going, and
I intend to. Thank you. Thanks, Dave.
I know you will, and say hi to everybody down in Waterford. Tell them we're missing them like crazy, and we'll see you all. We'll see you all for a few pints over the summer. I'm looking forward to at some point maybe sitting in an audience and watching you up on stage doing your thing. I think it's going to be great to see, and hopefully, from tonight that will help. That's the main thing.
Thanks very much for having me on. Thank you.
Thank you for closing out the show tonight. It's a great honor to have had you on to finish up things. People love something different at the end of the night, and that was different. Very, very much so. So take care, mind yourself, and sit back there now and relax. Put on the kettle. We can take it easy. The job is done. The job is done. Take care, buddy. Mind yourself. Take care. Bye. Garrod O'Foran, Ger O'Foran, as I know him, Ger Foran, as I know him, but Garrod O'Foran on Facebook is where you can find him. GEROIDOFUARAIN, for those of you who are not familiar with the Irish spellings. That's how you will find him. We'll put a link up anyway, and we'll be sharing it on Friday Night Live. He's brand new to the scene of music, but he's been doing poetry and spoken word for a while. You're going to see a lot more of him and hear a lot more about him. I think, I believe so. And I was delighted to have him on there tonight. It's great. That's it, boys and girls. Another night done. Not too bad. It ran behind because the crack was just so good as the night was going on. And I apologize to some of the lads who were on at the end of the night that it kind of ran a little bit behind. But we didn't do too bad. I mean, 12:15, not too bad. Just for those of you who are watching, I suppose I have to do the old, my little thing called the shameless plug at the end of the night. It's important to do it, I suppose, after delivering the whole thing first. If you see the link at the bottom of the screen, you can see it's a PayPal link, and you're all wondering, why the hell is he putting a PayPal link at the bottom of the screen? Well, it's very straightforward, very obvious. Following a few chats with friends and stuff like that, I decided, well, yeah, they were saying to me, put it up and get a little bit of help and support from your patrons and people who watch the show, maybe that might donate a couple of euro and whatever you can towards the show, just to keep things trucking. Expenses for the show and all that kind of stuff, because we're going to be running competitions and different stuff like that, and the backdrops and all the machinery and all the stuff that we use. So if you can, there's no pressure. It's still free. Friday Night Live is free. There's no pressure on anybody. But if you can stick a few bob into the Friday Night Live coppers, be great, and it just kind of helps keep things going. So if you can do that, be great. And this is the album, by the way. Also, you don't actually have to just stick a donation into it. If you want to actually buy the album, you can get it through the PayPal link that's on the bottom of the screen there as well, and you'll be supporting the show that way, and you'll be getting an album delivered straight to your door with a message on it or not, whatever you want, okay? And the Friday Night Live t-shirts, I'm happy to say, are coming back very, very soon. We're taking a little break. Next week is our last show this summer, and it's going to be a very, very busy Friday next week. There's two shows, one after another, back to back, lads. We're doing the Friday Night Live under 18 special from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. and it's going to be really good. Trust me, there's already a couple of really good guests lined up for under 18s, kind of the younger talented musicians that are out there. There's some great talent out there. I can promise you're going to want to tune into that. So that's 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. next week, and then straight in a short break and straight in at 10 p.m. to midnight-ish or after for the final show of the summer season. And what a season it's been. 16 shows next week will be, lads. 16. Not bad for something that started out as a little sort of a side idea. So it's going pretty good. Okay. So you can get the album that way. The t-shirts are coming back as well with a brand new design on it, by the way, because the anybody who's lucky enough to have gotten the original Friday Night Live t-shirt with the red light on it and the torch, that was from the Friday Night Lives when I was playing the guitar and doing the gigs and all that. This will be a brand new Friday Night Live t-shirt that is going to be designed by my friends in Takeaway T-shirts here in Limerick, inside in the Parkway, and they're going to be doing them up for me for next week, and they're going to look good, trust me. So it's kind of more the show logo and all that, so it looks really cool. So that's about everything. That's all the news at the minute, lads. So the PayPal link is there. If you can support the show, I'd really appreciate it. Anything you want to do, you can buy the album, buy yourself a t-shirt, or just stick a few bob in it. It all helps, and I really appreciate any help. Last week, by the way, I cannot thank people enough. I put the PayPal link up last week just for the crack to see what happened. The support was just, wow, phenomenal, and you know who you are. And thank you so much for doing that, for making the effort to help things along. That's it, really. Shameless plug over, and another little shameless plug before we finish tonight. I have to finish tonight for my dear friend Jackie Hudson Lawler, who was on tonight, because I know she loves this song, and I'm going to do it for her just to finish out the show. But before I go, I really want to thank all of my guests that were on tonight. It was a wonderful, wonderful show. Duncan Maitland, who was on first earlier on, followed by Jackie Hudson Lawler, Circuit 3, Peter Fitzpatrick, of course, Dec Burke from the UK, and of course, last but not least, Garrod O'Foran from Mooncoin, living in Waterford. Very important to say. Thank you so much to all my guests tonight. Next week, I can tell you, is already an absolute cracker, lads. And I mean that. There are two, not one, but two very, very well-known people from the music world coming on the show next week. And all guests, of course, are brilliant. Don't get me wrong. But there's two very, very well-known people that you're going to want to tune in to see. It's going to be really cool. We're going to finish with a bang, okay? And don't forget this junior show, under 18 shows at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. next week. So there's 2 Friday Night Lives back to back. It's going to be one hell of a busy schedule. So that's it. That's all the news. Thank you for supporting me and watching, guys, and tuning in. It's been great to have everybody again. We will say goodnight and God bless from Limerick here. I am going to, I have my last can of Canadian Molson. Another shameless plug. See if we can get a sponsor. Why not? Might as well try it. I have my can open. I'm going to have this now and sit back and relax and leave you with none other than my single called Bring Out the Light. And I'm dedicating this to Jackie tonight and all people who remember this song, because I know she loves this. I said I have to do this for her. Good night. God bless, lads. Take care. And thank you. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. I had a ball. Thank you very much, guys.
One step into the light and I'm feeling high as a kite. It's just one more twist of the screw and I know I can get through to you. This is the last trip into the sun before we fall back under the thumb. This is the last dance under the moon, and I know I can get through to you. Bring out the light, bring out the light, bring out the light, bring out the light. You run, you hide, pretend you lie. The truth is a thing that you can't find. That's why I've got to take you back to show you how to see the light. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Bring out the light. Bring out the light. Bring out the light. Bring out the light. Bring it on, bring it, bring it. 'Cause everyone knows it's a feeling you can feel it. Just let yourself go and believe it and receive it. step into the light and I'm feeling high as a kite. It's just one more twist of the screw and I know I can get through to you. Bring out the light. 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 Bring it on, bring it on, bring it on, bring it. Bring out the light, bring out the light. Oh, bring it on, bring it on, bring it on.